To today's class, and today we are starting this course, Gospel and Culture. Very rarely seminaries offer this course, and this is very essential for people who are particularly in Asian context. The purpose of this course is to see that you grow in understanding of the multicultural context of India and Africa, and particularly in Asian context, because we are in a pluralistic context. A context, it is not a kind of monotonous, it's not a monoculture. Monoculture is only one type of culture which can be applicable to all people, all types of people. But particularly in India, even in Africa and the Asian countries, we are in a pluralistic cultural context. So culture has such a great dynamic force on any religion, and particularly in Christian religion. Hardly people understand this, and we have a limited resources on this, have been trying to get, but we need to do a kind of sociological analysis on culture. And I will be giving some books on Indian culture. I still remember in my graduation, I studied, I think, a course on Indian heritage and culture. We need to understand what is a culture. So the objectives of this course is, by the time we finish, you should be able to articulate on biblical culture as well as a culture that we are in a multicultural context. So it's a part of discipleship, because as we continue to grow in the Lord, we continue to grow, and as usual, it requires 600 pages of reading. So I'm not pressurizing you much. Anyway, you have to write 2 book reviews. One book I'm giving, but the other book, you need to find out this Dayanand Bharati's Living Water and Indian Bowl. So this is an amazing book. I have a hard copy, but I don't know how to help you to get a soft copy. I tried, I didn't get today. That's one of the reasons I'm waiting to give the book. I think Amazon is charging 1,200 or so, but it is worthful of getting. So he is basically from Tamil Nadu, Dayanand Bharati. He worked with the FMPB mission for several years, and then he writes with his experience how to relate with the Indian cultural context, some of the theological issues as well as mission praxis out of his rich mission experience with the FMPB. He worked in North India also. Still, he is alive. He lives in Hyderabad, I think Bangalore. He has a small ashram at outside, in between Hosur and Bangalore. Wonderful book. A few pages you can read on google.books.com. You can go to books.google.com and type this name, you will get it, but it will not allow you to read all the book. A few pages here and there you can read. Particularly, you can see the table of content. You will be inspired and you will be enlightened to read his book. If possible, you order on Amazon and get it. But if it is not possible, maybe read a few pages on Google. But this book I am going to give, I got this. Hazel Grave is one of the outstanding scholars, particularly in contextual theologies, and his writings on culture is significant. He has written a lot of textbooks. Somehow I got one of his books, this Communicating Christ Cross-Culturally, an introduction to missionary communication. So he speaks from the biblical point of view. So you need to review these 2 books. If you're not getting this living water and an Indian bowl, Google and find out a few pages, at least read a few pages that are available on Google Books. Out of those few pages, you write maybe 1 or 2 pages of your own summary of the book, and then read this Hazel Graves book, Communicating Christ Cross-Culturally. Since from yesterday, I have been working tirelessly to collect some material. I found some scholarly journals and articles I'll send. So we are collecting materials here and there. So you need to write those 2 book reviews as usual, and a research paper as usual, 7-page. So what we do is by tomorrow evening, you need to finalize your topic. So here are the topics. Take any one of the topics here. Tomorrow evening, when you come to the class at 7 o'clock, tell me your name. I will write your name there. And this time, I'm changing the strategy. What I'm going to do, the friends who are presenting very late, every time I see some of the friends, now they're presenting at the final stage and not getting sufficient time. So this time, those friends are presenting the first day. You know where you are. So what I'm going to do, so third week, those who have presented finally in the last 2 courses, they will present first. Like brother Smiles and Alexander and you friends will be presenting the final day, because you are in a little bit advanced stage. I want to pull them up, those friends who are lagging behind. So take any one of the topic. So I'm not having a kind of so many books on these topics, but you need to struggle. You need to find out material on this topic in the overall books, article, journals I have been giving. You will find some of the materials from the previous books and also the books that I'm giving today or tomorrow. So this is how it goes, evaluation again. So book review 1, you should give by 8th. If you don't give, that's it. I will not take it again. Finish. That is over. And if you don't give on 13th, that's finished. You forget about it, go to the next, because this is just a 1-month module. So we should go along with it. Otherwise, what happens? We lag behind. But of course, if there is any genuine reason, I'll consider. Don't worry about it. So just write whatever you know. Just read the book and write summary. Or I have given you how to write book review in the last syllabus paper. Hope you have that paper. You go through and see how to read the book. Friends who have come today, I think 2-3 have come. So I will, what is this? Tomorrow is Sunday. Yeah, not tomorrow. Yeah, Monday. Yeah, when I say tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow is Sunday. We don't have a class tomorrow, Monday. So 2 book reviews, 10%, 10%, and research paper, 60%. Anyway, this 10 and 10 you all will get. You will be in the class, you will be talking. So only these 2, you need to, 2 book reviews and 1 paper. You keep it in mind, start working from the first day. Today, maybe I sit late night and I get the books and I try to post. So this is what. And then what you can do is develop a bibliography on your own. So what is bibliography? This is the style of bibliography that we are following. By the way, I have posted Coach Institute's style guide. Have you downloaded this, friends? One second, let me allow you to mute. So, yeah, Francis and Smiles and Srinivas.
Yes, we have downloaded.
Yeah, that style guide is like a Bible for you. Keep it with you every time. Whenever you have a doubt, go to the style guide and see. Everybody follows different styles, but we stick to that style. No EBIT, nothing. So you follow that style. So this is the bibliography pattern. You write name Ulta Bulta. It is Dayanand Bharati. No, Bharati comes first, comma, and Dayanand full stop. This is bibliography. Footnote is a different. Footnote means you write as it is. Dayanand Bharati. You will not keep full stop for footnote. You keep comma. And then living water Indian bowl, you keep it as an italic. You see that style guide, you will understand. And then you keep semicolon here, and then you write the publishing company. Actually, you need to write the place where you have published it. Then publishing company. Here the place is missing. I don't know how. See, this is the example. So book name, and then genre 1. I think this is not right. I overlooked it. There should be publishing place. Maybe it is a New York, Delhi, something like that. Then publishing company, comma, the year, full stop. Footnote, what you do is you write as it is. David Hazelgrave and communicating Christ cross-culturally and introduction to missionary communication in italic, comma, and then publishing place, colon, and then you write the publishing company, comma, and then no, this you keep in the bracket this two, and comma and the page number. You see that style guide, you'll understand. Don't worry, you are learning. You learn it by experience. Even if you do mistakes in this, you are not going to um, have any trouble. Don't worry about it. Slowly you will learn that footnote and end note and all that. So there are several ways of doing it. Mostly when I write a paper, I follow MLA style guide. MLA is very advanced, particularly MLA 8th guide is very advanced. They don't follow footnote or endnote. They follow in-text method, like how we insert the Bible verses like that. For example, you want to insert here. So the author name, comma, the publishing year, and colon and the page number. They keep inside with the bracket. No footnote or endnote. Only bibliography finally. It's really advanced stage, very difficult to find out. Only the scholars, some publishing companies, they accept it. But initial stage, we need to follow footnote. The moment you write here, keep number 1 and write here. Then we will know where is that book and this. So slowly you will learn it. Don't worry about it, those technical things. So this is what you develop bibliography. Why I said you develop? Because you will know how to write this. Anyway, I will rework it on it and send you. There is actually publishing place is missing here. Any questions on this? Are you clear on this?
Doctor, this is Srinivas. One thing I got a small clarification. You put book review 1 and again book review 1. Both, what is that? Both are 1.
No, I think book review 1 and book review 2. 2 books you have to review. I'll give you the 2 books. So maybe
so this
typing mistake there, I think.
Okay.
So we are learning this, the whole 3 weeks I'll be teaching gospel and culture. So I have given you the compendium. If you don't have that, so please send me a message. I'll send it to your mail ID. You can download and then keep it on your desktop. Then we can progress.
I think it has come to all the people in the mail, doctor.
Yeah. Whatever the mail IDs I have almost, I sent it. Yes, I think I have sent to everyone except the friends 1 or 2 who came today. I can send to you also, but I need your email ID. You can text me on WhatsApp group. I think Dev Prasad, I need to send you. I don't have your email ID. Any doubts? Now the time is, what is the time now?
7:30.
Yeah, 7:30. We will go to the lecture. Okay. Because I'm recording properly these lectures and I'm uploading to YouTube. Those who miss the class, they can go back to the channel and continue the lessons. In case if you miss 1 or 2, that's fine. You can go back to the channel and watch the lecture. Welcome friends for today's class lecture on what is culture. As we started this course, gospel and culture, it is a vast subject and essential subject, particularly people who are in a multicultural context. Either we are in a multicultural context or in a monocultural context. It is the essential component that we need to be aware, because gospel and culture are interlinked. You cannot separate gospel because gospel penetrates into the culture. And if we are ignorant of the cultural context, we become irrelevant to the particular context. So we all are aware of culture. So what is culture? So a culture is a common way of adjustment of man to his natural surroundings and his economic needs. I add not only economic needs, socio-political, economic, and religious needs. Doesn't particularly um, uh, narrow down to economic needs, but I extend it not only to economic needs, but socio-political and religious needs as well. Because we live in a society and we should be relevant to that particular society. So culture is a common way of adjustment. So we all need to get adjusted to the culture that we are living. Culture is learned. It is culture. There is no superior culture. We all learn from the culture that we are in. A baby's mind, mostly when the child in the childhood days, particularly in the months babies, their cognitive mind mostly empty, and they observe things and they learn. Mother teaches, this is A, B, C, D, or maybe this is a cat, this is a dog, this is a rat. So the cognitive mind try to understand and keep those information in the mind, and the mind continues to remember that. So culture is such that we learn things in the culture. Culture is learned, reflects the values of a society. Because when we are a part of one society, the society gives us so many values. Values are a part of that culture and frames our experiences. We grew in different cultures. So those cultures, in those cultural contexts, as an individual, we frame our experiences. Experience of treating others, experience of eating, wearing dress, or maybe respecting and whatnot. A lot of experiences we inculcate and we learn. Influences our expectations of what is right or what is wrong. So culture particularly influences what is right and what is wrong. If you were of the world would love you as its own. But because you are not of the world, but I choose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Now Jesus says in John's Gospel chapter 15 verse 19 that if you were of the world loves you as its own. But because you are not of the world, but I choose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. As an individual, as a believer, as a child of God, we are placed in a cultural context. Sometimes we may not go along with the culture. If we are not go along with the tempo of that culture, the world may hate us. We are in the world, but we are not out of the world. And Jesus also very clearly said, life is more than food and the body more than clothing. As we continue to learn what is culture, culture is the amalgamation of all these components: food, dress, and cosmetics that we use, the styles that we uh, exercise, hairstyle, and all these are all cultural contexts. So life is more than that. So as a Christian, when we are in a particular cultural context, we are more than that. So there are, Bible clearly talks about the culture. So let's learn how best we can relate with the culture. We are in the world, but not of the world. And Bible clearly says, do not love the world. And sometimes we interpret these verses and saying that we should not go along with the culture of the society that we are in. And particularly Romans 12:2 also says, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, that is good, acceptable, and perfect. So how do we understand these verses? Shall we completely throw out the culture, throw out the world, and we become like an aloof, a kind of isolated community that we have nothing to do with this world around? So how do we frame our experiences when we are living in a multi-pluralistic context of India, particularly in India? Pluralistic context of India, a lot of cultures, the Hindu culture, Buddhist culture, and atheistic culture, and sometimes we are in a Western type of culture, a traditional culture, a kind of fundamental Christian culture. We are surrounded by so many cultures. Apart from that, Indian culture. So what is culture? Common man is really perplexed, not able to understand what is culture. In this short lecture, we try to understand what is culture. It influences our expectation of what is right or what is wrong. It epitomizes the total pattern of human belief and behavior. You know, even inside the church, sometimes some people behave like aliens. They are not of the world. Their behavior is abnormal, all the time living like in the heaven. Sometimes we have different typical people here and there. So total pattern of human belief and behavior changes because of our attitude to the culture. So mostly Christian community across the country, we have so much negative attitude to the culture of the land that we are in. And we inherited from the beginning saying that, oh, everything is demonic. Oh, the Western missionaries came and they reformed the culture, they changed the culture. So it's most of the times Christians in India have an aggressive attitude to change the other culture. We are going to learn. This is called ethnocentrism, thinking that my culture is good, the other culture is evil. Now we are going to learn what are those principles and how best we can understand a culture as a disciple of Christ, as the follower of Christ, how to look at the culture from the biblical perspective. The whole course we are learning, we are going to have an in-depth study on exegesing, doing an exegesis of the culture. The word culture is derived from Latin word cultura, which means to grow or to civilize. That's the reason sometimes now when we see half naked, tribal, and some people who don't have a manners, and we say these are cultureless people. When they don't know how to respect us, we say, oh, they are cultureless people. The culture is a little bit associated with growth and to civilization. The civilization. But the anthropologists object this. Now, I think, God willing, we are going to have a course on Christian anthropology. That time we learned that. So in simple language, culture means a society in which best behavior, good thinking are considered. Behavior and thinking are interlinked. Our thinking pattern results in our behavior. If you think in a way that others are also in a society, so your behavior also goes along with the others. So thinking and behavior have an interlink. Those two results in having a kind of association with the culture. It refers to all inclusive habits of thinking which shape human behavior. Why this subject is important? If you understand the culture in an objective perspective, and if you know how to relate yourself as a child of God with the local culture, your behavior pattern will be changed and you will become more accepted in a community where you are a part of that community. Culture is the key that opens the door to an analysis of human societies and human behavior. Culture is the key to have friendship in the society. No, culture is the key to open a door so that you can walk into other communities. This is Jesus' style, by the way. When Jesus lived in that Palestine, the little town, he grew up in Bethlehem and walked around those Tyre, Galilee, Decapolis, and whatnot, all those, the shore of Galilee. So Jesus particularly did an exegesis on the culture. He respected other cultures, and in a matter of fact, he grew up in a multicultural context. Of course, he comes from a Judaistic cultural context, but he had relationship with the Greeks. He had relationship with the tax collectors who have a different culture relation to the economy, and he has a great relationship with and the friend of sinners who have a different cultural context. You know, Jesus is the best model to understand this subject. We are focusing on Jesus because he is the best model to understand the culture. Let's see the definition in a significant way. Tatwe says the culture of a society means the total way of life and of the society. You know, sociology is very important in theology because theology and sociology, they go hand in hand. If we eliminate sociology in a theology, that becomes an abstract theology, which becomes a meaningless in a society. Because theology should be translated, incarnated into a society, because society is the amalgamation of people, belong to different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds, different ages, different sects. You know, so we need to associate and we need to work with people primarily. So we need to understand society. The culture of a society means the total way of life and of the society. Brewster said, culture is the complex whole that consists of everything we think. No? Everything that we think, we do, and have as a member of society. No, of course, we insist people to a member of a church, which is very good, essential. But hardly Christian community know how to be a member of a society. Frankly speaking, many Christian leaders and many Christian pastors, many Christian workers and believers, they're not really having a kind of membership in a society. I'm talking about membership in a society, you know, engaging with the society, having friends, celebration in the society, because we are not taught. And we are taught how to be a good member in a church. Come to the church, be in the church, give your tithe, be faithful, come to Bible study, come to Sunday, and every 24/7 associate with the church, which is essential. I'm not denying, we should continue to have it. But along with that, we should be the friend of a society. We should be in a society where we can mingle. Then only we know how to do and how to have a membership in a society and how to have friends in a society. This course, my primary aim is that I challenge you to be have a membership in a society where you can take an active participation in the society. So kinds of culture. Number one, individual culture. You know, everybody will have his own culture. You know, you have your own culture, individual culture, and then communal culture. You know, in a society where you have an apartment culture, in your village culture, your communal culture, and national culture, particularly this communal culture, to understand, like, you know, in Indian context, we have a different caste groups. Every caste will have their own community culture. Every caste will have their own way of eating habits, dressing habits, their way of respect habits and whatnot. So communal culture is such that as a community, they inherit and they pass on their cultural habits and their cultural stigma. So, and the national culture. You know, we have an Indian culture, American culture, Canadian culture, Australian culture, as a nation, they have their own national culture. So, which is very essential. We need to understand what is our national culture. I'm posting some of the books related to Indian culture. We need to know what is our Indian culture. We know only as a negative attitude, like, Indian culture is casteism, demonic, idolatry, and what is not, Devadasi, and all all, yes, that there are these negative elements are in every culture, by the way. West and East, North and South, all cultures are marred by sin. By the way, American culture is not so good. That also has their own way of evil practices. Because when man sinned, the sin affected every culture. Even tomorrow, my individual culture may have sinful nature, the communal culture has a sinful nature, national culture has a sinful nature. But all cultures are marred by sin. We need to transform them. We are going to study how it is. So national culture, we need to understand as an Indian culture. As an India, what is the culture? So world culture, and as a kind of global culture. Because of the globalization and industrialization and all these postmodern thinking, now we have a global culture. So characteristics of culture. So culture is learned. As I already said, we learn culture. Nobody is perfect. My children learn culture from me, how I practice here, where I take them, and how they go to the school and they observe here and there. They learn the culture. Culture is social. As I said, it is a social. It affects the group. It affects the group thinking. Culture is shared. You pass on your culture. As a church, you pass on your culture. Within the religious community, we have so many cultures. Particularly, we have all the denominational cultures: Anglican culture, Lutheran culture, uh, Pentecostal culture, boxing culture. These are cultures. The Ceylon Pentecostal culture. Culture is, the eating habits, the dress, and some churches they say only white dress. White is only angels. So this they have different cultures. Every culture is unique. So culture is shared. We share, and culture is transmissive. We transmit, and culture is continuous and cumulative. It's not going to stop. It's continuous and cumulative. And culture is consistent and interconnected. It's interconnected. It's a web of relationships within the culture. Similarities in different cultures and societies we find. Culture is dynamic and adaptive. Here I want to say every culture is dynamic. You cannot underestimate. So as you think about Indian culture, it is dynamic and it is adaptive. So we need to get into that Indian culture, art. The Indian art is such an amazing art. We know only Gothic style of art that has come from the Europe in the Middle Ages. When we do a course on church history, we understand how this church structures and art and the culture and theology has been imposed and exported to other nations. But we hardly have a kind of study on Indian architecture, Indian way of dynamic, the cultural context. We should go back and study dynamic and adaptive. It is adaptive. Some of the best practices we can adopt. Oh, the power is gone now. Give me 1 second. I need to